Hi guys, not only cheap cars can be found on the dump, sometimes there's even a chance to spot the fastest and most powerful supercars worth millions of dollars. Today we are going to present some forgotten treasures of family garages, impound lots, and even city dumps. The Jaguar XJ220 was only built 280 times. This is the most expensive car in the history of the brand, costing $500,000. Such a supercar was found abandoned in the desert of Qatar under the scorching sun of the Arabian Peninsula. The car was found whole and flawless, and according to the odometer, the Jaguar drove only 600 miles. The reason of why this car was abandoned is unknown. The Ferrari Enzo is a supercar which gathered dust on an impound lot in Dubai, even though it costed more than $1 million. The car was abandoned by a British subject who wasn't a law-abiding citizen and hurriedly left the country, leaving the car to the mercy of fate. Later, it turned out that the car was hijacked. Today, it is known that it was simply driven off into the hot Arabian sun until the destiny of this beautiful sport car is solved. The next car has a sad story. A few children were playing in the backyard in Los Angeles, 1978, when they found a piece of plastic sheeting sticking out of the ground. A further excavation brought a new Ferrari Dino 246 GTS to light, which was buried in the ground. Later, it turned out that the car was stolen by the owner, who wanted to receive an insurance payment that way, and after the time passed by, free his car from captivity. But by coincidence, Rosendo Cruz, the owner, did not do so. After several years spent in the ground, the car was moldy and corroded. The new owner had to try hard to make the supercar shine again. The Lamborghini Miura P400 was a limited edition and stood in a garage of a small town in Illinois for over 28 years. The present owner told the story of this car. He was sitting behind the wheel of this car since he was a small boy, while his uncle and a part-time owner were busy with something. After his uncle died, the family wanted to sell the car, but it was him who insisted that it can't be sold. As a result, conversations about the sale stopped and all relatives agreed that it is a family heirloom which remains in the family. This elderly woman kept her husband's car as a family heirloom after his death. The Shelby Daytona Coupe stood in the garage of a landlady who, as it turns out, had no idea of its value until recently. If you believe the rumors, the car was bought for $3 million not so long ago. And here is a kind of record holder dwelling under a layer of dust. The Bugatti Type 57S Adelante of 1937 was gathering dust under a pile of rubbish for over 40 years. In total, only 17 cars were produced, and one of them stood there for almost half a century. The discovery was estimated at $4.5 million. The heirs of the forgetful Gautier car, in whose garage the car was found, were really lucky. And here's a similar story. The 1960 Ford GT40, modified for racing, was bought by a California native. Just 2 years later, he put it into a garage because of problems with the engine. The supercar was discovered by heirs many years later when they carried a heap of rubbish to the dump. This E-Type Jaguar was bought in 1965, but was soon moved to a permanent residence in form of a garage by its owner. There were 65 miles on its odometer at the time of sale at the auction. The new owner immediately went to get the car completely restored, this masterpiece. An auction for the sale of the rare coupe Dodge Charger Daytona will be held in Florida, USA next month. As the local press wrote, an 18-year-old young man bought a coupe in 1974 for only $1,800 and later put it in a barn and forgot about it for several decades. The car, which now more resembles a pile of rusty metal, is estimated around $180,000. The Dodge Company has only released 560 copies of this model. Although many people called the car the ugliest compartment of the Chrysler concern, Nowadays, it has a high value because of its rarity. And finally, a true treasure trove of vintage cars. The warehouse of a Chevrolet dealer in Nebraska was discovered in 2012, apparently abandoned for a few years. 50 brand new cars with built years reaching from the middle of the last century till today were found under a thick layer of dust. A Chevrolet Impala 1964, a Chevrolet Corvette 1978, and a Corvair 1960 were found among the specimens. All cars practically didn't drive a mile. There were stickers with prices left on the windows of the cars and even cellophane on the car seats. The corrosion didn't touch the body of these cars, so they were successfully sold at a local auction.